So what if I told you that a 2,000-year-old letter is actually a high-stakes turnaround plan for a failing organization? Well, that's exactly how we're going to look at the book of Titus today. We're not going to get into a deep theological sermon here. Instead, we're going to break this down as a practical playbook for leadership, for crisis management, and for changing a culture from the ground up. So let's dive into this ancient turnaround strategy step by step.
Okay, so right out of the gate, we get the mission statement. The author, Paul, is writing to his trusted colleague, Titus, and Titus has been left on the island of Crete with a super clear and urgent task: set in order the things that are lacking. This isn't just some casual, hey, how are you letter. No, this is a strategic directive. A serious problem has been identified, and Titus is the troubleshooter who's been sent in to fix it.
Here's our game plan for this breakdown. First, we'll look at the mission itself. Then, we'll get into the weeds and diagnose the problem in Crete. After that, we'll explore the two-part solution Paul lays out, and finally, and this is the key part, we'll uncover the ultimate motivation that's supposed to power this whole thing.
To really get what's going on here, you got to think of Paul as an experienced CEO or maybe a founder. He's established several new branches of his movement all over the place. Titus, he's the trusted senior manager, the go-to guy you send to the most difficult locations to sort things out. And the location, Crete, is clearly a tough assignment, one with some really deep-rooted issues.
Every good strategy, right? It starts with a really honest look at the problem. So before Paul even gets to the solutions, the letter gives this stark diagnosis of what's gone wrong in these Cretan communities. And it really boils down to two huge issues: a total leadership vacuum and the chaotic influence of disruptive internal factions. And this slide, wow, it just lays it all out, doesn't it? It shows the massive gap between the goal and the reality. On the wanted side, you have things like sound doctrine and good works. You could think of that as a healthy company culture with a clear mission. But then you look at the reality on the ground and whoa, it is a mess. You've got idle talkers and deceivers who, the text says, are turning whole households upside down, all for dishonest gain. The organization is literally being undermined from the inside by people who say they belong but are actually disqualified for every good work.
Okay, now this next quote, it's pretty harsh, so we really need to understand the context here. Paul isn't just throwing out an insult, he's actually being very strategic. He's quoting a well-known Cretan prophet to diagnose a widespread cultural reputation that Titus has to face head-on. He's basically saying, look, even your own people acknowledge this reputation for untrustworthiness. Your job, Titus, is to build a community so solid, so reliable, that it completely shatters that stereotype.
So with the problems clearly laid out, especially that cultural tendency towards instability, we get to the solution. Phase 1 is all about structure. You just can't fix a chaotic organization without putting credible leadership in place first. It's foundational. So the letter tells Titus to appoint elders, people who can form a stable core for the entire community.
And Paul doesn't just say, hey, go find some good people. Nope. He gives Titus an incredibly detailed blueprint. It's basically a job description, a clear list of qualifications. It's a character profile for exactly the kind of person who can be trusted to lead this turnaround.
First step, the deal breakers. The things the leader absolutely cannot be. They can't be arrogant or self-willed because a leader needs to listen. They can't be quick-tempered because a crisis needs a cool head. And they definitely can't be violent or greedy because that just destroys trust. It's all about having a stable, reliable character before you even talk about skills.
And now for the do's, the must-haves. A leader has to be welcoming, someone who genuinely values what is good. They need to be clear-headed, fair, and disciplined. And that last point is the real kicker. They have to be absolutely grounded in the organization's core mission, the faithful word. This is what gives them the credibility to inspire the team and, just as importantly, to challenge those who are causing all the division.
Okay, so once you have that trustworthy leadership team in place, the plan shifts into phase 2. The focus now zooms out from the leaders to, well, everyone. The goal is to build a whole culture of constructive, positive behavior that actually reflects the new, stable leadership.
This table does a great job of showing just how practical the strategy gets in Chapter 2. It's like a community-wide code of conduct. But notice, it's not a one-size-fits-all approach. There's specific, tailored advice for different groups. Older men are told to be patient and temperate. Older women are meant to be role models and teachers. Young men need to show integrity. It's a holistic plan where everyone understands their part in building a healthy culture.
But let's be real. A list of rules, no matter how good, is rarely enough to inspire real, lasting change, right? Why should anyone bother with all this? The final and honestly the most important part of this whole playbook is the ultimate motivation. It answers the big why behind all these instructions, and it all comes down to one incredibly powerful concept.
And that big idea is grace. As the letter defines it, grace is the unearned kindness of God. But here's the thing, it's not just a gift you get and put on a shelf. The letter presents it as this active, powerful force. It's the engine, the fuel that doesn't just save people but also teaches them how to live differently. It's the source of the power that actually change.
The letter actually breaks this down into a super clear, logical flow. Step 1, grace shows up offering salvation to everyone. Step 2, that very same grace becomes your teacher, showing you how to live well. And step 3, the result of all this is that it creates people who are passionate, the word used is zealous, for doing good works. See the logic? The good behavior isn't the cause of salvation, it's the result of it.
This right here, this is the ultimate before and after story. The letter reminds its readers, hey, remember when you were foolish, disobedient, and deceived? But now, through this grace, they've been totally transformed into heirs of eternal life. It's this radical shift in identity that becomes the deepest motivation. You don't just act differently, you act differently because you are different.
So, with all that in mind, the letter closes with the final marching orders. It's all about turning that internal transformation into real-world action. Be productive. Help people with urgent needs. Stop wasting time on pointless arguments. Steer clear of divisive people. Be good citizens. This isn't just a random list of rules. It's the daily practice required to maintain that new, healthy culture. And that brings us to the end of this ancient turnaround plan. It's a strategy built on 3 pillars: selecting leaders with incredible character, teaching constructive behavior to the whole community, and grounding everything in a powerful, transformative motivation. Which, of course, leaves us with a big question, doesn't it? Looking at this first-century blueprint, which of its principles for leadership and for building a community still ring true in our own organizations and societies today?